What if I told you that the world we live in today, the languages we speak, the borders on our maps, the very ideas of liberty and nationhood were all shaped by the defeat of one man? What if that man had won? Let's dive into one of history's greatest what-ifs. What if Napoleon Bonaparte had won the Napoleonic Wars? To even begin to answer this, we need to pinpoint the moment where victory was possible. Forget the icy plains of Russia in 1812 for a second. Let's rewind to 1807. Napoleon is at the zenith of his power. He has crushed Austria, Prussia, and Russia at Austerlitz, Jena, and Friedland. He stands as the undisputed master of continental Europe. The only thorn in his side is the stubborn, seafaring nation of Great Britain. So, in our alternate timeline, let's change one crucial thing. Napoleon doesn't get bogged down in the disastrous Peninsular War in Spain and Portugal. Perhaps the Spanish monarchy cooperates, or his invasion is swift and overwhelmingly successful. Without this Spanish ulcer draining his resources and manpower for years, his Grande Armée remains at full, formidable strength. With a stable Western Europe, Napoleon can now focus all his might on his two main objectives: crippling Great Britain economically and keeping Russia in check. His continental system, a massive embargo designed to starve British trade, becomes far more effective. Without rampant smuggling through Spain and Portugal, and with a more compliant Europe, Britain's economy truly begins to feel the squeeze. Factories might close, unemployment could skyrocket, and the British public, weary of endless war, might pressure their government to sue for peace. Let's imagine a peace treaty is signed around 1810. A Treaty of London, perhaps? Britain, while retaining its naval supremacy, is forced to recognize Napoleon's dominion over Europe. The nation of shopkeepers, as Napoleon called them, is effectively neutralized. Now, what does this Napoleonic Europe look like? First, the map would be completely redrawn. The Holy Roman Empire is gone for good, replaced by the Confederation of the Rhine, a collection of German states loyal to France. Poland, resurrected as the Duchy of Warsaw, would likely be expanded into a full-fledged kingdom, a powerful buffer state against Russia. Italy would remain a unified kingdom, ruled by Napoleon's relatives or trusted marshals. But Napoleon wasn't just a conqueror, he was a reformer, an administrator. His greatest legacy, the Napoleonic Code, would become the law of the land across this vast empire. This revolutionary legal framework guaranteed property rights, religious toleration, and equality before the law for all male citizens. Feudalism and aristocratic privilege would be abolished everywhere. A standardized system of weights and measures, the metric system, would be implemented from Lisbon to Warsaw. Education would be centralized and secular, promoting scientific inquiry and a sense of shared European, or rather, French-led identity. For the average person, life could have improved in some ways. An Italian artisan or a German farmer would suddenly have more legal rights and opportunities than their parents ever dreamed of. But this progress would come at a cost. Liberty? Napoleon's rule was authoritarian. Secret police would monitor dissent, the press would be heavily censored, and conscription would be a constant reality for young men needed to police this vast empire. A sense of French cultural superiority would permeate everything. Schoolchildren in Berlin or Amsterdam would be learning French, studying French history, and looking to Paris as the center of the universe. This United States of Europe, under French domination, would have a profound impact on the rest of the world. Without the British to oppose him, Napoleon might look to expand his influence globally. Perhaps he renews his old dream of an Eastern Empire, challenging British power in India. Or more likely, he turns his attention to the Americas. The Louisiana Purchase might never have happened if Napoleon had the resources to maintain a North American empire. The fledgling United States would find a powerful, ambitious European superpower on its doorstep, potentially stunting its westward expansion. Latin American independence movements, which were aided by Britain's command of the seas, might have been crushed by a combined Franco-Spanish force. But could such an empire last? Napoleon himself was mortal. The big question is what happens after his death. He groomed his son, Napoleon II, to succeed him. But would this vast multicultural empire, held together by the genius and charisma of one man, accept the rule of his less tested heir? It's likely that the very seeds of nationalism that Napoleon inadvertently sowed would sprout into rebellion. The Germans, the Italians, the Spanish, They had a taste of unified law and administration, but they also developed a stronger sense of their own national identities in opposition to French rule. Upon Napoleon's death, his marshals might have vied for power, fracturing the empire from within, leading to a new era of conflict, the wars of the Napoleonic succession. So, even in victory, Napoleon's grand European project was perhaps destined to be a temporary one, but its impact would have been permanent. He would have accelerated the modernization of Europe by decades, but at the cost of national sovereignty and democratic freedom. The 19th and 20th centuries would not have been defined by the rivalry between Britain, Germany, and Russia, but by the legacy of a unified French-speaking continent struggling to define itself after the passing of its emperor. The world would be more rational, more standardized, but perhaps less free. English might not be the global lingua franca, and the very concept of a nation-state, which Napoleon both championed and suppressed, would have evolved in a completely different way. The shadow of the little corporal would stretch far longer and darker or brighter, depending on your perspective, than it already does. What a fascinating thought. What do you think would have been the biggest change? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this journey into alternate history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.